Yeah. I still don't know how to do live. I got to figure
Excuse
that
me.
out.
Okay.
Somehow we have to get it into Facebook, or I don't know if you do lives on YouTube.
Can't we just do a... Anyway, we should probably talk about this later, Alison.
Hi.
Edit that out.
We'll
Hello.
start now. Yes.
How are you?
It's Friday. It doesn't feel like a Friday to me.
What does it feel like?
That's a great question. I don't know. I just know it doesn't feel like it feels more like a Thursday.
Hmm.
I don't know why. I'll tell you what, my Friday workout was not great. So I know it's really a Friday because my body's like, okay, uncle.
Tired.
Do you
Tired.
guys say uncle in England?
I mean, we do have the word uncle, but I don't know that we use it the way you're using it. Do you mean it to mean old, tired man?
No, it's when you want someone to stop, you say uncle.
Never heard that.
It's weird.
I've got
I
a tickle
agree.
in my throat. Excuse me, I
Oh
should
my
probably
gosh.
mute
Could you
myself for
mute
that.
yourself? That is
I'm
very
it's really disgusting. I apologize.
okay. What are we talking about today? Well, and welcome back. I'm so excited to be back in the room with you.
Woo!
We've been on a bit of a hiatus.
We have been on a hiatus, and we're going to get to that in a moment.
Yeah,
I'm going to check in and tell you how I am first.
let's do it.
So I'm feeling really tired.
Hmm.
I went to bed early. I slept the whole way through, but it's just a general feeling at the moment. And as I said to you yesterday, I either have some hideous illness unknown to man,
Mm.
which is, just making me ridiculously tired. That's possible, but I don't think it's that. I don't know what it is, but I'm absolutely shattered.
Hmm.
I kind of feel dead on my feet, just really, really tired. Can't explain why. So that's how I am. Thanks for asking.
Oh, okay. Well, I'm
So,
sorry you're so tired. That doesn't sound great.
no,
And
it's not a great feeling. No.
I'm sure it'll pass. I'm
Thanks,
just
Dr.
sure it'll.
Garner.
How old are you again? Oh, I'm sure it'll pass.
It'll pass.
Thanks for
Show
coming
me your
in.
tongue. Yeah.
Yeah, that's right.
Um, so our hiatus.
Yeah, was
Hmm.
like 2 months.
2 months. Yeah, and I think to be fair to us and to explain to Tracy what's going on, we I looked back at our notes and we had planned to go about this far, April.
Yeah, yeah.
We planned to
That
go,
was our
and
year
then we
commitment.
said, yeah, and then we said, oh, we'll take stock. And I think we sort of did take stock, but I have judgments here. I don't think we were wildly effective at our taking stockiness. You go, you
Well,
had
we wanted
something.
to, yeah, I think we took a break. This is exactly how we work. This is why we get stuck. I thought we took a break because we were going to create a program and bring all the world up a learning curve.
I thought
And
we were doing that too.
okay, good. So we have that. So we both and we were supposed to be taking stock along the way. I
Mm.
agree.
I looked back at our notes and it
Oh
said
boy.
yeah, and it said review, but I only did that today, Ellie.
Ah, okay.
I only looked
In
back
a
at the
year.
podcast notes today. So that's after we finished in April.
Mm,
Um, and then I think if we sort of like pan out a moment and explain what the topic of today is,
yeah.
that feels to me like it would be a good thing to do. And so the topic of today is the fact that we have tried to create the thing that you said,
Yeah.
you know, and we've gone round in circles.
Yeah.
And so rather than continuing to go round in circles, we've done a few things. And one of them is we've decided to just hop back onto this
Yeah.
so that we keep doing this because we love it,
Yeah.
whilst we figure ourselves out around creating a program that changes the world.
Right. Right. And so part of today's topic is like what happens? What happens to relationship? What is like what's typical? Where can people end up when you go into partnership to create a thing, whether like you've been given a project inside of a work environment, or you're an entrepreneur and you're trying to connect and partner with another entrepreneur, kind of like ours, or whether it's like inside a family, we're trying to like create something as a family or a marriage or whatever. And um, I think you and I have had this experience where we both could clearly see the vision that we have, which is you and I guiding, eliciting, coaching, being in front of and along with a group of humans in
Mm,
service of really exploring relationship.
mm,
I can see it. You can see it.
mm,
Like we can see ourselves in that place. I can actually envision it in my
mm.
mind. And so then we get to planning and the whole thing doesn't seem to go anywhere.
Yeah, yeah.
And so
Yeah.
I think today's conversation is going to go into like, okay, so what do we do now? This is real. This you and I are actually trying to do this and we're not doing it's not working very well. It
Mm-hmm.
doesn't we can make it mean all sorts of things. But what we're doing today is intentionally going back in and doing this live so people can watch it. You and I can be in the experience of it. And why not record it? I mean, we might
Yeah,
not decide to put this out into the universe if this whole thing just crashes and burns. But so far, I think we're doing okay.
yeah, yeah. And sort of, I think we did all the right things. We put
Yeah.
our, if you sort of look at
Mm,
what structures to put in place that would support you.
yes.
Um, we have a friendship, and other people might find themselves in this position where they have a great friendship with someone who's in a similar kind of like feel to themselves. And they're like, oh, they're both feeling really creative. Let's create something. Um, we had agreements around our podcast. We had scheduling in place. We had review points. I noticed, and this isn't the first time that you and I've had this conversation, we didn't do our check-in reviews as we had said we would. So
Yep.
some of our structure slipped.
Yes.
We had good intentions.
Yes.
We did the majority of what we had intended to do, but some bits and pieces slipped. We came to the end and we're like, oh my God, this has been amazing.
Hmm.
Let's take this to the next level. And we both really interested in relationship, taking responsibility in relationship, showing up in relationship, working through relationship, all of those things. Relationship with anyone, including and probably primarily with self, starting with relationship with self.
Mm-hmm.
And as you said, I mean, to be honest, yeah, we went round in circles, but we did have structure in place, Ali. We
Yeah.
had dates in the diary, we had meetings in place, we had a document, we were taking notes.
We have a
Um,
vision. We have a
yeah,
why. We have a what for. We have all of that.
yeah,
And then it just kind of like, uh, we can't move it
yeah.
for. There's what's missing is like the how. What does this program look like?
Yes, there's that, but also we have noticed a pattern in the
Mm,
way that we have been working,
mm-hmm,
or a pattern that is present in the way we've been working. And that pattern is that we have, on at least two occasions that I'm aware of, and there may be many other occasions that I'm
mm,
not aware of,
mm.
um, come away with, I'm holding a banana and you're holding a geranium, and we both think the other person is holding the same vision as us. I
Yes.
think you're also holding a banana, and
Mm-hmm.
you think I'm holding a geranium.
Yes.
And then we check in maybe just before the next meeting, and I'm like, how's it going with the banana? And you're like, I'm not holding a banana. I
What
don't know what you're
banana?
talking about. What
Yeah.
banana? And we've noticed that twice in the
Yes.
last like 2 meetings.
Right. Yes.
And what have we done? I'm happy to answer that question, but
Oh,
take
please
a breath.
do.
Okay. So first time that I noticed it, I made myself wrong. The process was
Oh,
I noticed that I was like, oh shit, I'm not on the same page as Ali at all. Um, and I had hesitation about bringing it
yeah.
for all of the reasons about me, not the
Yep.
reasons about you. But of course, I made up some things about you,
Sure.
that you
I'm
would
making
be
notes. I'm not ignoring you. I have a thing
okay.
that because I want to
Yeah.
capture this. Good.
Yeah. So I kind of made myself wrong for being confused, made it mean that I was stupid, um, that I was not up to the game that we were playing. Like, I'm just going
Mm,
to have to duck out of this because I'm not following what's happening here.
yep.
Um, I had the slight experience of being sort of swept along with something, but not
Mm,
really knowing what was happening. And that was the confusion. And then feeling really embarrassed to
mm,
bring that to you and say, I've been in the meetings and it's only been you and I'm confused.
mhm.
Um, and so that was happening for me. And then I made up stories about how you would receive
Yep.
my experience.
Right.
And I made up stories that you would also think I was stupid
Mm,
and think that I was not up to the game that we were playing. So I sort of just projected all of those onto you.
yeah.
And
And at one point, you even shared that you pointed the finger at me.
that was the last time. I'm
Yeah.
saving that. I'm going to bring that.
Oh,
I've got it
sorry.
written down
Sorry.
here. Blame
Punchline.
Dally. I've got it in capital letters on my notes. That was yesterday.
Yeah.
But I'm going back a couple of weeks. First of all, I'm taking it slowly in chunks, Ali. So go back a couple of weeks. I wasn't aware. I wasn't as aware. I wasn't aware of blaming you at that point. It was all about
Mm,
me.
hmm.
When it happened the second time, I'm like, this doesn't normally happen to me. It must be Ali.
Yeah.
But to avoid skipping ahead, I was embarrassed and it was difficult for me to bring it to you.
Yeah.
And I managed to bring it anyway. It was not a comfortable experience for me.
Yeah.
Um, I think there was a bit of crying.
Mm, yep.
Yeah.
Yeah. There was definitely
Um,
tension. I felt that.
yes. Yes.
How did you feel that your share with me was received?
You were very aggressive. No, you weren't. Um, it was everything I'd feared. No, it wasn't. No, it was great.
After the yelling stopped, it
Yeah,
was
when the
fine.
yelling stopped and you stopped throwing things at the screen, I was fine after that. No, it was kind of a non-event in a way.
Mm,
Um, as in there were no, you didn't throw any plates, there were no fireworks. And actually, I think it went really well in that you said, I've sort of been feeling something as well, and I couldn't really put my finger on it. So far from you being annoyed, there was almost a sense of being pleased or
yes.
gratitude that I had actually brought the thing forward and kind of
Mhm.
said, there's a thing.
Yeah. Yeah. Do you see this? Are you feeling this?
Mm, mm,
Totally. Yeah, it's so I can share with you if you want, we can flip the coin and say, okay, so what
yeah.
was it like on her side?
Mm,
And I'm so used to not knowing the full picture. I'm really used to that.
mm,
Um, I, I'm not being self-deprecating when I say I'm very rarely the smartest person in the room, and stay with me. Um, and I have surrounded myself and been surrounded by people who have very, very high IQs. And my survival mechanism in that world is, I mean, that was kind of my whole world. My sister is incredibly high IQ. My father is very high IQ. I'm not sure about my mom. And then I ended up becoming friends with the very high achieving girls in my high school. They were also very popular. They were also very athletic. So I was constantly like hiding my own weaknesses and just going along. And then when I got into my career of engineering, it was the same thing. I very rarely understood what was going on, but what I learned is if I just kept my mouth shut and nodded and and feigned that I understood, I would eventually get there. I would connect the dots like 10 or 20 minutes or years later, right? Where everybody in the room was on the same page and I was like, I don't know. But I trusted that I would eventually catch up. So my experience was very similar because that's always been my experience, is I don't really know where I'm going half the time,
Mm.
most of the time. And I just keep going. For better or worse, I just keep going. And you're like, I don't know what we're doing. And I'm like, yeah, I know. That's how I do stuff. Like that's is there a different way? So for me, it was a huge wake up call that not number one, not everybody does it that way. And number two, I could actually know what I'm doing before I go and do the thing. And you kept coming back to me and saying like, but what what is it again? And I'd be like, I don't know. And I'm perfectly happy to keep marching down that path, having no clue if that's going to get me closer or farther from the vision that I have. I'm confident enough in you and me and our relationship that 99% sure we'll get there, but I
Mm.
really don't know.
Mm. Yeah, this is it. I mean, I'm taking notes because I'm partnering with you,
Yeah,
and this is really great information for me to know as
yeah.
someone who is working in partnership with you.
Hmm.
Um, I'm friends with you,
Hmm.
and we have talked on previous podcasts about um, your you being really, how do I say this? You being very
Eager.
um, low maintenance.
Hmm.
And so knowing that about you as a friend, you'll be like, yeah, I'll just eat raw carrots. That's fine. I'm fine with that for dinner.
Yeah.
So me knowing that about you means that I might say, Ali, we could actually cook them. We could make some carrot soup that might be nicer than just the raw carrots. And not to take that eager, yeah, anything goes willingness
Yeah.
necessarily at face value.
Hmm.
Um, and also to make sure on my side that I'm not taking advantage of you and just giving you raw carrots all the time in our friendship. So it's
Okay.
great for me to know that as a person who.
Yeah. Yes. No, and it's good. I think it's good for me too. I mean, that really is where my marriage, or my relationship with my husband has been an exploration of like, hey, Allison, why don't you ask for what you want? He's super easygoing too. So the two of us will eat raw carrots for years and never think to actually dig into what is it that I want to eat right now? Is it even carrots in any form? Or is it bananas? Right? So it's been a fun place for me to play. My battery's about to die in my headset, so I'm gonna frantically get my old-fashioned
Fair.
wired things. And it's not surprising that I'm in a relationship with somebody and doing it with you as well. Carrots are fine. I
Mm,
don't have to know how we're gonna get it done. Just tell me when and where I'll show up and do the thing. Well,
yeah.
what are we gonna do, Elsie? I don't know. What time do you want me? And you're like,
Mm,
Jesus Christ. I I need to know like one more thing before we pick a time because
mm,
do I show up with a shovel or a tennis racket or a cello? What are we doing? I'm like, I don't know. We'll figure it out. So
I love you, Ali. Thank you. Oh my God. Yeah. So we're in the process of learning how to work with each other.
hmm.
And we agreed yesterday, or certainly I floated the idea yesterday that it may not work that we work together. Now, I think that is unlikely because of how well I'm saying how well the podcasts have gone, how much we have enjoyed creating these podcasts together. So it seems unlikely to me that we won't be able to work ourselves out. Are you okay with your headset? You all good?
I hope so. Can you hear me?
I can.
Keep
Perfectly.
going.
Yeah, so it seems unlikely to me that we won't be able to work ourselves out. It seems to me that there is great likelihood and a lot of possibility available in this relationship.
Yeah.
And moving it to the next thing has been a bit of that. We've hit some roadblocks,
Yes.
which for me have been around confusion. Now, I, on the other side, I need to know everything. I mean, we said this. You are the yin to my yang. It's remarkable that we're friends.
It is. And you're like one of the best friends I've ever had. Literally. And you're the anti of me.
Yes, yes,
Because you need to know everything and I need to know nothing.
yeah. I need to know
And you have to cook your
literally.
fucking carrots
Yeah,
all the
I
time.
need to know everything. Now, that is an over expression of something or an under expression of trust. I'm like, I need to know everything. I would have made and may still make a great health and safety inspector because
Yeah.
I can see what's happening behind my head. I'm
Yeah.
looking at everything. I'm
Yeah.
turning
Yeah.
everything over. I'm checking
Yeah.
everything. And you're like, no, let's just go.
Yes.
You said to me yesterday, no, I've run halfway up the end of the road or halfway to the end of the road before and I don't even know where I'm going.
Yes.
And I'm like, Ali,
Where are you going?
yeah.
You're going off a cliff.
Yeah. So we are this yin and yang. I mean, we haven't found one thing yet that we have in common. I don't think we're so,
We have children. That's our common thread. We both
yes,
have kids and they're almost the same ages.
yeah, and we both
We speak
urinate.
English. We both
Yes,
urinate.
we both speak English. This is true. I had to lower the tone. I apologize. We'll edit that out. So the second time round, so we had the conversation, I don't know, 2 weeks ago. We had a conversation. There was a lot of crying. There was some honest sharing. We kind of regrouped.
Yeah. Yes.
We set some targets, little things, tasks for ourselves to do between the meetings.
Yeah.
I didn't do them.
Yeah.
Life got in the way.
Yeah.
That's also familiar for me.
Mm-hmm.
And then I started to look at the tasks and found myself utterly confused again.
Yeah.
I looked at the notes you'd made in our shared document. I was like, I do not understand what's happening. And so I spent a little bit of time.
I think it'd almost be better if we didn't speak the same language because we both put English words in this document. You're like, what?
We did.
What is even that?
What's going on? But I could see from what you'd written that what I thought we had come away with agreeing was not what was happening in your writing. I was like, I don't understand. And I thought, oh my God, I'm confused again. And I very quickly went to blaming you.
Mm-hmm.
I went to, I was like, well, this has happened the second time. This doesn't normally happen to me.
Mm-hmm.
I rarely get confused because I'm brilliant and I'm clever and I understand everything and I nail everything down.
Yep.
But there's no room for any confusion.
Can't
be me. It's got to be Ali. Bloody hell. So I blamed you.
Yes.
And then I messaged you and said,
what are you doing?
I'm a little bit confused. I think I said it nicely, but I was like, I think we might be on different pages here. So just want to know what is that stuff you've written? What does that relate to? And we got on a call. You rang me.
Yes.
And we got on a call. At which point I soon into the call admitted that I was blaming you for confusing me.
Yes.
Yeah. We've obviously moved through that because we're still here together today.
Yeah.
chuckling away at each other,
Well, I think
chortling.
that's the like where I keep ending up is the relationship is the only thing that matters to me in any of this. And so if I can be with your confusion and your blame, I can be with it. I don't have to agree with any of it, right?
Mm,
Like that I think is such a great place to be, especially when a relationship is really important. Like I don't have to necessarily agree that I am to blame.
mm,
I'm also not, I'm also open to like, I have this experience with everybody. So I'm absolutely sure I'm contributing to the confusion. I know I am. I don't know how because I would fix it, right? But
mm,
this is really familiar to me too. So if I can always, for me personally, I can, the reason I think I can hear, this is my theory, is I can hear you say, hey, Allie, I blame you for confusing me. And I can hear that and not put up a wall and not defend myself and instead laugh and go, oh, shoot, there, yep, not surprised. I
mm.
confuse everybody. I wonder how. Like that, it's such freedom. And I believe that it allows a lot of freedom inside the relationship. Does that make sense?
It does. I'm hearing you say that it's a familiar
Yes.
experience for you, and
Yeah.
the fact that you have got some familiarity with
Mm,
this topic, it's not a news flash, and you're like, oh my God, I'm devastated. I've never heard that before.
yeah.
The fact that you've heard it before um, means you've got a little bit of facility. You've got not a little bit, you've got facility around hearing it and receiving it. Um,
Well,
and also,
the
yes,
punchline is whatever you say to me doesn't matter as much as my relationship to you. So even if you said, Allison, you have a horrible face and I can't stand to look at it anymore, don't you ever say that to me. Our relationship still matters more. And so I always come back to that touchstone. It's
mm,
like, okay, she's having an experience. She thinks that I'm confusing her and she thinks it's my fault. Relationship to
mm,
Mia. I'm
mm,
going to come back here and say, okay, what would be best for a relationship is for me to be with that, with her.
mm.
And let's talk about it.
Yeah, and this sort of comes to the point of the work that we want to create together, which
Mm-hmm.
is around um, relationship. It's
Yeah.
about relationship. It's
Yes.
about working. Now we're two friends who get on super well, who who have similar interests and are very excited about creating something together. But as you said at the start of this conversation, it could be you and your partner. It could be you and
Mm-hmm.
one of your children. It could be you and somebody you work with at work.
Or it
You
could
know,
be I have a client right now or a potential client who's dealing with a very difficult board member.
hmm, yeah,
Yeah. So, yes.
yeah. So any type of
Yeah.
relationship that you care to think of, we're interested in digging into relationship and exploring how we show up in relationship. And the beauty of us having these um, these mini breakdowns or coming across these roadblocks together is that we get to actually practice it with each other.
Yeah.
It's not always, rainbows and
Yeah.
sunshine.
We're not the
Sometimes,
podcast
mm,
where
mm,
we dole out wisdom. We're the podcast where it's like, if you want to learn how to be in a relationship, come watch. You want to learn how to play better tennis, go watch Wimbledon. You want to learn how to be a better pianist, watch a concert, right? You want to learn how to be in a relationship, come watch this podcast because we're
mm,
actually doing it.
mm,
Where I think that's different. So many podcasts, so many people will interview experts. We could just do an entire podcast where we interview people about relationships. We could do that. There's no shortage of them, by the way.
mm,
There's very few podcasts, in my opinion. Or you'll have a podcast where somebody just doles on about their expertise in this area. What I think is missing in the world is people who are actually practicing together. And we're doing that. We are practitioners of this thing that we claim is really
mm,
important to us And
mm,
our bigger claim is that it's important to all of humanity.
mm. Yes. For once, I followed what you said, and I agree. No, I'm kidding.
Oh,
I I know.
I was very clear.
Yes. Yeah, you were very clear, and yes, I agree. We are in the thick of it.
Yep,
We're not out of the woods
not
yet.
at all.
It was only yesterday that I'm sharing. I'm confused
Yes. And then I hung up
again.
on you on
Yeah,
accident. That was awful.
yeah, yeah. That was,
Sorry.
but yeah, I'm confused. I
Yeah.
don't know. And so this is great for me because I'm learning how to partner with someone that I really love, I really want to work with. I've got lots of reasons for wanting to create something with you. Um, and it's not flowing
Yeah.
at the moment super easily. And I don't know what that's about. Like you said earlier, the creation of this podcast flowed. We didn't hit any road bumps.
We
Not that
did. We
did
did.
we? What did
Yep.
we
At the
hit?
very beginning, my memory was there was a lot of anxiety in the beginning. And I remember you saying at one point, like, what if I'm not ready? What if I haven't done enough background? Like you were trying to
Mm,
prepare. And I,
mm,
of course, was like, I'm already running halfway down the street. And I'm like, prepare
mm,
what? Come on.
mm,
And you're like,
mm.
I don't know if we need water bottles. What are we doing? And then as we went, you started to become more, I think, more comfortable with like, okay, let's put some structure around it, which we did. We had like our 5 points, which neither of us can remember, which I think is also pretty funny. But then at least we had like a
Mm.
cadence. There was like a habit or a ritual that happened every podcast. But that took you being open with me and saying like, hey, how do you think it's going? I feel like I haven't done enough. I feel like I'm not good enough.
Mm.
And then we were like, okay, what would make that better?
Yes, I do remember that at the beginning. I don't remember that being so much about the way we work together. I remember that being more about my anxiety about doing this podcast.
Mm, interesting.
Yeah.
It has an
And
impact on the relationship, though. You can see that.
point out
It,
the impact.
yep. So if you show up and you're anxious and you're nervous, let's just pretend like you're anxious and
Mm,
nervous. The impact on me is,
mm,
what do I do with that? Do I manage it? Do I placate it? Do I rescue it? Do I enable it? Do I ignore it? There
mm,
is an impact on that on the relationship, I believe. Now, I think
mm,
our relationship is so strong that I can just say the thing. Seems to me you're a little bit wonky right now. Everything cool.
mm,
And then you'll be like, "Nope, it's not cool. I'm really wonky right now." And then we'll work through
mm,
it.
mm,
But if somebody if this was me 10 years ago, I would have been the people pleaser, like the golden retriever on steroids, where I would have been
mm,
like dancing around, making it
mm,
okay and covering up
mm,
for your
mm.
anxiety.
Okay, I take that. I can see, yes, that how I show up is going
Mm,
to impact the communication and the relationship in that moment.
yes,
Um, and then I think there's also the wider relationship, the sort of ongoing rhythm,
yes,
river of the relationship, and not just how, the turbulence or thing that's happening that day. There's sort
right.
of the longer view or the longevity of it, and then there's what's happening today, right now.
Yes,
And
yes,
yes, I take the point that what's happening today, right now, um, will have an impact on the way we communicate and the way we potentially leave each other feeling.
yes,
I will be
yes,
having an impact on you and you will be having a feeling, and then you will be, sorting yourself out and coming back, and vice versa. I think the thing with this confusion piece that's come up twice now is that it's not just the climate that day.
yes.
It's more of a thread.
It's showing up in lots of places in our relationship.
Yes. um well, where else do you think it's showing up then?
I just
Because
thought of
I'm
that once I said it. I think it shows up when we tried to create the podcast in the beginning.
mm,
There was no plan.
Yeah.
It was like, just get on screen with me and we'll just talk. It'll be great. And you were like, what's it for? How are we preparing? What do you want me to do? And I was like, I don't
Yeah.
know, just have an accent. It'll be great.
And I put a plan. We did a plan.
We did. And then you even went so far as to say you like had a whole like series of agreements about
Mm,
like what is the exit strategy if this doesn't work out. So you were very you were looking ahead and like the safety and food inspector, you were really looking
mm,
for how do we protect this relationship so that it doesn't get hurt so badly that we can't heal
mm.
from it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And more to say on that. I mean, I feel like the next place to go is we've sort of explored what has been happening.
Mm.
Um, I know where we're going to end, which is what are our takeaways thus far? Do you see anything between what we've discussed so far and takeaways? Do you see another piece?
Um, no, I think that's great. We can move that way.
Yeah, I mean, I
That,
think, oh,
yeah, I was going to say the takeaways is really where we'll summarize kind of
we
where we're
round
at.
up.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, I think what I'd like to say is a how about how we're dealing with this.
Okay.
Um, and so we've sort of described the whatever confused mess we've ended up in.
Hmm.
And the how of dealing with it is on my side, I'm practicing bringing the thing to you and saying, and it's not comfortable because I don't know if this time will be the time that you throw a plate or get upset or say I'm leaving.
Okay.
How do I know?
Right.
It's,
You don't.
I don't. I can't just take for granted that how you reacted 2 weeks ago is going to be how you react today.
Hmm.
Um, so so there's still, I suppose, risk there for me. It's a
Hmm.
risky thing to share with you what my experience is.
Hmm.
Um, but that is what I'm doing currently. I'm sharing honestly, and it is in service of not just creating the work, but more than that, maintaining honest, open lines of communication with us in service of our friendship,
Yeah.
which we want to be friends until we are old and grey.
Hmm. Yeah. I love that. Um, I have a few thoughts.
Mm.
When you were talking, there's a quote by Shaw, George Bernard Shaw, and it's
Oh, yeah.
something like the biggest mistake in communication is to assume that it's happened. So I love that because I think on my side, I tend to think that when I state something that people get it, or if I have a vision and I can see it, that everybody can see it. And so I tend to lose people if they're not wired like me or they don't hear the words the way I think they're coming out of my mouth.
Mm.
I'm constantly like, what do you mean you're confused? I can, you can't see the thing. So that's one thing I wanted to throw in. And then the second thing that I wrote down is I'm watching, there's a Hulu show. I don't know if you've heard of it, but it's two women who wrote it, directed it, and then they are themselves as middle school girls. It's called Pen 15, but if you look, it spells penis, right? Peen 15.
Mm.
And it's at one point they're really mad at each other. They get in a fight, and the one girl's inside her house, the other girl comes over, like late at night, and it's just like, let me in. And she's like, I'm not letting you in. I'm mad at you. And the other girl goes, well, I'm mad at you too. That's why we have to talk. And I was like, oh, I love that quote. I'm mad at you
Mm.
too. That's why we have to talk. So
Mm.
I thought those two were
Mm.
important to throw into the space.
Mm.
Um, I can share now my takeaways.
Yeah, go. Yeah.
So I think you and
Can
I
I
are
throw
both.
something before
Yes,
you do that? Can I
yes.
just, I'm curious, what is um, your personal takeaway? And do you have a professional takeaway? Like you as a
Mm,
professional woman? You
yes.
may not.
Yeah. Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. So
Okay,
my
go.
personal takeaways, like what I want to do is I want to use AI to help me craft this vision. How am I going to get there? Because it's like sitting me down in front of a piano. I don't play piano, and like putting sheet music in front of me and saying like play the song, and I'm like, I don't know how to play the song. I realize I have a big gap in my skill set around creating a really great plan to get me from point A to point B. I'm so reliable to, you know, get myself there without a plan that now that I'm being asked to make a plan, I don't know what I'm doing. And it's showing up here in this relationship, it's showing up professionally with some of the facilitation work that I'm doing. So I think what I want to do is lean on AI to kind of help give me a map. So that's my personal and professional.
Mm,
I've done that with my social media, my organic social media strategy. I, I use ChatGPT to craft a strategy for me, act as, and then I put all the stuff in there of all the things that I want, and I'm like, boop, go, and it spit out everything for me. And I'm like, why wouldn't I use that here? Why
mm,
am I, keep hitting this wall? I can't. It's a blind spot for me. I don't know what it is. Obviously, blind, and
mm,
I can't seem to get off dead center. We just keep circling around. Like you're like, what are we doing? And I'm like, I don't know. So I
mm,
think that's something I want to get better at.
mm.
Did that answer your question?
Yes, I got to. Can you say it in one sentence? You want to
I'm
use chat?
going to
Go.
use AI to help
Mm,
craft a strategy or a plan to get us from point A to point B.
mm,
Because I know what point B is.
mm.
I see it.
Cool. Mm. So um my personal takeaway is how freeing it is to take the risk to share what's really happening for me.
Yeah.
Now, it could have gone very differently. I appreciate that we're joking and saying throw a plate,
Yeah.
but you could have been really upset and really hurt. And that is the risky bit because I don't know how you're going to react. As I said, how you react today may not be how you react tomorrow. You're an organic being.
Yeah.
Um, so for me, it's just the freedom
Mm-hmm.
of practicing, and I'm practicing with you, practicing telling the truth, being brave,
Mm-hmm.
taking a risk,
Mm-hmm.
and sharing what my experience is of
Mm-hmm.
how something's going. That feels fabulous, horrible, but fabulous.
Yeah. When it's over.
Yeah, horrible in the moment, like, eh. Um, and then the professional piece is I've had experiences before where I've been working with someone, not necessarily from choice, and I've been like, oh, this is
Yeah.
not. I'm like, geez, this is not what I would choose. And I have found a way of working with that person and actually ended up really softening and really loving. I suppose it's sort of giving myself over to the experience.
Mm-hmm.
And that has happened as a result of examining myself, reflecting on myself, and what barriers and walls I'm putting up. So professionally, I think I do have experience of this. This is
Mm-hmm.
the other way round.
Mm-hmm.
Like it's all going swimmingly, and now we've hit a road bump. But I have the resources to deal with this,
Mm-hmm.
to work this out. And one of the major resources I have at my disposal is the relationship that you and I have.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
That's my takeaway.
Thank you for that. And I think that what will end up happening is, I don't know this, but it feels like I will learn how to bring a little more detail and you'll learn how to be with less detail. And
Mm,
so we start to kind of move towards each other
mm,
in service of the thing that we actually want to do in the world. not
mm,
because it's like fun to push our boundaries, but like, what if we figure this out? Because the beauty of you, a person like you and a person like me coming together, is that we are really complementary. Our strengths and weaknesses are very complementary to each other. We don't
mm.
have the same ones. I just
No.
did a values exercise yesterday with a therapist, and I was looking at the five. It's a deck of 60, and you have to work through it, whatever. You get five, and I was looking at this, and I was like, I think Mia's are probably exactly opposite, which is great because I don't want to work on my weaknesses. I want to work on my strengths. And if my strengths are your weaknesses and your weaknesses are my, I think I just did it, but you know what I mean. If we partner together, then that's
Mm,
like what a great
mm,
combination. It
mm,
could be really powerful as long, in my opinion, as long as we do not ever, mm, what's the right word? We don't take the relationship for granted. I don't think we need to fragilize our relationship. I think it's really, really strong. I think we can
mm,
punch it and hit it and it's fine. It's why you can bring stuff to me, I can bring stuff to you, and we're going to be fine.
mm,
And I can't imagine anything. I mean, big things like if you murdered somebody in my family, that probably would have
mm,
an impact. But like everything else is figure outable and
mm,
overcomeable.
mm.
So,
Yeah. Yeah, I agree. It feels like a playground
yes,
for relationship. We both have um, a good foundation in this work.
yeah, right.
We've also been on the planet a while and we've had lots of relationships. We've got
Yes,
lots of experience to draw on.
yes.
Um, we've been in the work as customers learning about the work. You know,
Practitioners,
we've also been in the work as, so we've been participants and practitioners, so we've
yes,
kind of, I feel like we have a good grounding
agreed.
to experiment and explore in our relationship.
Yeah,
Yay.
love it.
So cool. Shall we say goodbye to Tracy and end?
Yes. All right. We'll
Bye, Tracy.
see you next time. Later,
See you
Tater.
next time. Bye.